What kind of dog would you never own and why? Any mega high energy breeds. Not ideal for me or them. Now even if I lived in the woods with a couple dogs who could wear each other up, I'll never own a lab. Holy crap. I love all dogs. But I've met many that are so hyper-focused on tennis balls that they can't find enjoyment in anything else. Doesn't matter if they ran all day, hunted, had the ball tossed for 2 hours. Try and snuggle up and pet them and they're tweaking, looking over their shoulders in case there's a treat or ball coming. I've met more affectionate, calm ones. But the ratio is so skewed towards the obsessive ones that I wouldn't roll the dice. Interestingly, I haven't noticed this with retrievers even though they're bred for the same thing. Nothing with its face smashed in. I've known several people with pugs and other such breeds where they end up having lots of expensive, time-consuming problems the older they get. A friend of mine has 2 pugs that she rescued. She can hardly walk them anymore as they start wheezing after just a few minutes. And they're starting to having skin problems in the folds of their faces. That's a big no for me. My mother has some puppy mill Yorkies that are the nastiest, snippiest, resource hoarding, anxious nightmares. Her inability to train them is one thing. But they were just really bad dogs from the get-go. I don't think they would be nice dogs even with the best of training. I don't even like visiting her house because they snarl at me and bite my ankles when I'm literally sitting down reading a book and not moving. I know they are innocent animals, but when I say I cannot stand them, I am not exaggerating. She feels like she saved them from something. And like, fair enough. But they're not even that nice to her. Their anxiety is hard to manage. Turned me off of Yorkies, and little dogs in general, forever. What would you do if your FWB got pregnant wanted to keep the baby? My older sister always told me if you're not on birth control, you are trying to get pregnant and quad. I didn't have a baby until I was 37. Your choice these days are broad if your FWB gets pregnant. But the best one is to take some co-parenting classes and figure out child support issues before baby gets here. Unless she chooses to terminate the pregnancy. Ask her what's her plan and that you'll support the plan. Is she even mother material? Are you dad material? If not, start learning quick. You can make it work if you both aren't assholes. Who knows? That kid might become the light of your life. Well, you've got to control your nuts. But shit happens obviously. Last thing anybody, including the child, needs is to grow up in a context where it was unwanted to begin with, paired with a home environment that might not be able to afford it the proper opportunities that a modern child should be allowed to enjoy. Therefore, in this circumstance and this alone, few weeks of that subtle House of Dragons tea should fix this little issue. First, I would never put my dick inside a woman I wouldn't want a child with. That's how sex works, dick in, baby out. But hypothetically, if I was in that situation, I would start by asking for a paternity test. Since we're FWBs, who's to say I'm the only guy she's fucking? That's she's in a FWB situation with me in the first place. Means that her values and views on sex and intimacy are such that it's likely that I'm not the only guy she's fucking. That she tells me about the pregnancy, with the implied meaning that I'm the dad, just means that I'm the one who she sees as the best father material. If I'm to raise a child, I at least want to be sure it's mine. Why can't I, 20M, get turned on by women? Get you a chick with a dick. Sometimes your romantic orientation and sexual orientation could be different. Boy, do I have some news for you. I'm not going to tell you though, just to keep it mysterious. This is way above Retta's pay grade. Talk to a professional that could really help and clarify your questions. Yeah. This is admittedly a weird orientation combination. You could be hetero-romantic homosexual, I suppose, even if you don't like sex with men. You are sexually attracted to men, which still counts as homosexual. Sounds like romantic orientation and sexual orientation don't match up for you, which happens for people. For example, I am sexually attracted to no one, but romantically attracted to women. From the sound of your post, you're either biromantic, but sexually attracted to men, or full-on split attracted, romantically to women, sexually to men. There is a sub for people like that, but I can't remember the name of it. It sounds to me you might be on the asexual spectrum. You might feel some lack of sexual attraction to both men and women, but obviously can still feel aroused and want to get off. I'm bi ace myself, where I can feel romantic feelings for men and women but lack really finding sexual attraction towards others. I still can have sex and enjoy it, but I've never been attracted to any of my former partners beyond an emotional bond. A few things could be happening. 1. If you consume enough pornography, you might just not feel the need for intimacy from a partner. 2. You could be asexual and just crave the emotional closeness of a person, but not the intimacy. 3. If you're neurodivergent, have mental illnesses, etc., you may just have a lower libido overall. They have that 30-minute period during social gatherings where you mentally detach yourself, go entirely mute, and think about how you don't really want to live anymore. Every damn time. Sometimes I go speechless when a person suddenly talks to me. I get overstimulated and need some time to cool off. Yes. It's okay to say that. 2. I'm introverted, so it takes less than 30 minutes for me to want to detach myself from social gatherings. I will stop talking to others, sometimes observe others, and then I eventually go home where I need to be away from everyone. What can women do to make you feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable and express your feelings/emotions freely? It's not going to happen unless we are married, and even then if you are worthy of that trust. That is considered a weakness to men, and sharing weaknesses is how other people expose and capitalize on them. And use them as fuel to tear you down. You essentially want us to remove our armor and allow ourselves to take arrows for what? So you can be happy we shared things with you? If we are dating, I'm already sharing things with you: food, house, movies, time. Why do I have to share with you the things you can use against me? That's like saying, what do I have to do to get the ex's T number of people you had sex with before me? Really want to answer that? Cause good or bad it can and will be used against you. Imagine you're in a group of animals at a shelter. Someone comes to pick one of your friends up. Everything's great. You are happy for them. But then they come back. Return to the shelter. And ask them why. They said, I was honest about how I felt and thought. And I showed my real self. But they didn't like that. So they sent me back. Imagine watching that for generations. Then when someone comes to pick you up, imagine them getting mad when you don't open up, because you have seen what it does to the loved ones around you. You need to have extreme levels of trust to get most men to open up about any issues revolving around their stability and usefulness. Though on one hand I would say to just call out the bad apples. On the other hand, how? Sometimes you will know if you can show vulnerabilities just after you showed them, and it's a bit of a gamble. And when it goes wrong it hurts, so I think the ones with the tendency to have a shitty reaction should be the ones working on it. Put yourself in your men's shoes if you feel like you are going to be judgmental.